Yo, 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 yo. Hope I find everyone very, very well today. We are back again with another planetary update here to provide you with some guidance for this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio 2019. Let's go ahead and hop right into this. So, this particular Mercury retrograde is station retrograde or starts October 31st, 2019 at 27 degrees of Scorpio in Jyeshtha Nakshatra and is station direct or ends November 20th, 2019 at 11 degrees of Scorpio in Anuradha Nakshatra. All right, guys, so first I'll let you know what I'm picking up psychically here, and then we'll discuss the spiritual nature of this particular Mercury retrograde. All right, so psychically here I'm getting that guys, you are in charge and responsible for your own healing. Because after all, it is only you who can bring out and showcase that authentic person you've been hiding inside all along. And you never know who might love or fall in love with that person that you hide inside. Hell, you may even love or fall in love with that person. You know? Guys, discussing your emotions instead of revealing your emotions will yield a much more harmonious and favorable outcome because discussing allows honesty, vulnerability, and integration, while revealing brings about half truths, paranoia, and frequent misunderstandings. Scorpio energy has a lot to do with understanding power and powerlessness dynamics. However, what you do with your power or in power will determine your emotional and spiritual growth, integrity, and evolution. So embrace change by placing your focus upon how things will be instead of how things used to be. Because, guys, we can only move forward. It's the only direction that God has provided. Pay attention to what people say about other individuals when they're not present. So when people show you their true colors, believe them. Because real friends say bad things to your face and good things behind your back. All right, guys, let's go ahead and discuss here the spiritual significance of this Mercury retrograde transit. This particular Mercury retrograde is transiting through Jyeshtha Nakshatra, which is also ruled by Mercury. Jyeshtha Nakshatra is represented by the middle finger. However, not our earthly flipping someone off meaning of the middle finger. Jyeshtha speaks of the concept of self-control. Given that through self-control comes wisdom. For it is through this wisdom that we cultivate having the right relationship with truth. However, we must first have the right relationship with our senses regarding what we pick up and ascertain from them. Also, too, guys, take into account that truth doesn't mean just being honest, since what one person considers the truth may not necessarily be the case for another, Given that what one person considers true is merely based upon their individual perspective. And with this in mind, Jyeshtha can be described as the power to rise and conquer, or the power to gain courage in battle. Because, guys, such power and courage doesn't only come from being a strong and unscathed individual. It comes from being able to understand and see how things truly are, thus obtaining the right perspective with which to understand things. For example, we can approach any given situation with the concept of three minds. With the positive mind, by only seeing the advantage of the situation. We can approach it with the negative mind by only seeing the disadvantage of the situation. Or we can approach it with the neutral mind, whereas taking both the advantage and disadvantage into consideration and not sticking to only one side. Right judgment and right discernment comes from approaching with the neutral mind, because here you're able to look at the input of both the positive and negative mind while not being completely influenced by either side, thus granting yourself the ability to not only see clearly, but to decide what's best in that particular situation. This three mind concept also runs hand in hand with like the discernment of our wisdom and will, our wisdom and strength of will specifically. We can kind of look at this here too in Jeshta, like this is similar to the concept of a true warrior knows when to surrender. So, in a nutshell, here, guys, this is what Jeshta Nakshatra is all about, in which having the right relationship with the truth and reality of any given situation. This particular Mercury retrograde also is transiting through Anuradha Nakshatra as well. And Anuradha is ruled by Saturn here. With Anuradha Nakshatra, one's true nature begins to show and present itself more and more. And the ignorance of one's true nature begins to be destroyed. This is where we consciously begin to become friends with our soul or our higher self, via our intuition. Here we here we also begin to become closer friends, like with the universe, with God, infinite source, heaven, or whatever you consider that to be, And throughout this process, we learn about the idea of right relationship with those we're interacting with, and right relationship with the universe. Given that we now recognize ourselves as part of that whole and no longer like separate. Anuradha Nakshatra helps us to learn proper relationship with the senses, with ourself, with the universe, with God, with infinite source, and how to go about obtaining such experiences. It's also quite interesting that Anuradha Nakshatra is ruled by Saturn here. And Ryan Kruzak, he's one of my favorite astrologers here. He had a very interesting perspective upon this Saturn ruled nakshatra. And I really thought like it's simply brilliant and quite befitting. So here Ryan states, quote, "With Saturn you learn humility and the capacity to not necessarily empathize with others, but to realize that you are really one with everyone. And so friendship comes about through what? Through a capacity to understand, feel for others, and to see the other as oneself. And Saturn's lessons, even though they're often painful, bring about the realization that you have experienced suffering, and then you see someone else who's suffering, so now you can actually be a good friend." End quote. I thought that was beautifully said by Ryan Kruzak. Also here too, guys, Anuradha Nakshatra inspires us to like recognize our inherent inner worth. However, we must first have roots or understanding within that humility. Like, for example, you have to bow in order to be blessed, or else there would then be nothing to be blessed by. Ironically enough, with Anuradha Nakshatra, its basis above has to do with ascension, where it's like the heavens are assisting us with ascending and pulling us toward spiritual ascension collectively, and as on also individually. And like the basis below, like down here in the 3D on earth, how we experience it is we're trying to get infinite source to descend here on earth. And from this comes honor and abundance in many ways and in all of its forms. But only after first discovering our true inner potential, though, as to like aspire us in moving upward and forward. All in all, with Anuradha Nakshatra here, we must have the proper relationship with God, the proper relationship with infinite source, and the proper relationship with ourself in order for physical incarnation to be like maintained here. And all the while being supported by, other spiritually awakened individuals, their spiritual devotion, and for the object of devotion to continue here on earth through preservation. Given that life will always eventually change form. Things come into being to grow, to evolve, and then to cast off that form upon completion. Completion to either take on another form or to not, by which solidifying preservation through change. So guys, just to kind of sum this up here, all in all, Mercury Retrograde in Scorpio 2019 will teach us collectively to trust our intuition, but we must first have the right relationship with our intuition, with our senses, and with our spiritual guidance upstairs, Also, too, we're here collectively going to learn to discern between fear-based perception and intuitive perception. Also, too, to know when we need to be or when it's necessary to be the digger and when to be the observer. And here, guys, this transit, it's all about, for some individuals, your intuition will serve you right, bringing about clarity and vindication to your life. But for other individuals here, you'll see and recognize where your delusion truly, really lies. However, you would be given the opportunity to rectify and fix the situation as to which you found yourself in. All right, guys, that completes my interpretation for this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio 2019. And as always, guys, God bless and love and light.